Ahoy hoy listeners, this is Joshua Stearns aka Snerts presenting the Who Would Win Show After Show. This is a one-person passion parody project. I go over the Who Would Win matches for the month via fictional characters that are slightly humorous. Please listen to the Who Would Win Show every Wednesday on your podcast platform of choice, and subscribe to their Patreon for bonus content like Thunderdome. Now let's tune in to the one and only Chuck Daly. Hello everybody, this is the Who Would Win Show After Show, hosted by me, Chuck Daly. Before we get into it, I'd like to thank the dozens of fans who watched previous episodes. Unfortunately, weekly episodes are not feasible at this time, so we are changing it up. Moving forward, we'll review the matches for an entire month. Neato! As a result of this modification, the team will not discuss the fantastically fabulous episode Obi-Wan Kenobi vs. Wolverine. Why, may you ask? Because it aired in January. Kudos to Crystal Storm's excellent performance as judge. Fans should check out her YouTube video with Delvin Cox. They discuss what it takes to be a top-notch judge on the Who Would Win Show. Now let's dive deep into the month of February with Larry Kowalski and Brad Bosky on the Ski Report. Welcome, gentlemen. Hello there, Chuck. Greetings, Chuck, and salutations. There have been 4 matches in the month of February. Ray and James split the wins at 2 apiece. Let's start with Peacemaker versus Black Knight. Larry, what are your thoughts about this fight?
Chuck, it was a glorious day for the Awkward Allies. Ray used the DCEU version of Peacemaker, and the Sonic Blast helmet was key to victory. Black Knight would be blown into itsy-bitsy pieces, and all the King's men wouldn't be able to put them back together again.
Larry, we all know Ray pulled a fast one on the judge, Delvin Cox. The Black Knight doesn't stay dead for long. He would regenerate lickety-split. He also has armor and the ebony blade to protect him. Not sure how Ray got a hold of the intoxicating mind fog. James must have left the safe unlocked.
Fair points from both of you. Speaking of the IMF, I thought the eye makeup facts joke was an hilarious zinger. Brad, was there anything else that stood out about this match?
James did his best, but unfortunately some of the arguments fell flat. Listing off a string of past battles for victories just didn't land with the judge. And after much deliberation, I have to agree with Delvin Cox and also Crystal Storm. Comic characters have been around for decades. It's not hard to find victories or losses, and it's important to illustrate how they won, not if they won. Absolutely! Victories is also very dependent on writer and plot. Great point, Brad and Larry. Anything else before we move on to the next match?
Yes, anyone powered by 80s hair metal is a formidable foe.
Amen, brother. Couldn't agree more.
Fascinating! Let's go on to Deku versus Ben 10. Brad, James was declared the winner by Judge Robert Clark Chan. What points propelled him to victory?
Chuck, this was an exciting battle. I had little knowledge of the combatants, and both are extremely powerful. In the end, it was brains, not bronze, that won the day. Deku is better training than the young Ben 10. Also, Ray shot himself in the foot by bringing in the Alien X and Ben 10,000. James countered both of these versions brilliantly, and Judge Robert disallowed Ben 10,000. Ray basically wasted his final point.
Once again, Ray, not Brad, was right. Ben 10 has 2 forms that would destroy Deku. Yes, I'm talking about Big Chill and Clockwork. The former can go intangible and freeze opponents. The latter can literally stop time. James had no rebuttal to these brutal abilities.
Great, Caesar's Ghost. That's some top-notch analysis. Brad, anything else to add for this matchup?
James's keen knowledge of Ben 10 was a big asset. The young warrior would not endanger innocent bystanders, which severely handicaps his more powerful forms. This includes the Big Chill and Clockwork. Also, the 10-minute time limit is a huge weakness. Deku can fight for days, but Ben 10 is only effective for minutes.
Thank you, Brad. Larry, what are your closing thoughts on this battle?
Deku is a loser.
Now, Larry, there's no need for name-calling.
I call them as I see them, Chuck. Deku, throughout his journey, consistently loses to his opponents. This includes a loss against an aging Clint Eastwood, aka Gran Torino.
You're a funny man, Larry, my friend. We both know that was a joke.
Yes, and it was a good one.
Too true! Let's move on to the third fight for February. In one corner, we have the beloved X-Men Nightcrawler, and in the other, it's Shredder from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Larry, it was a close match, but ultimately James pulled off the win. What went wrong for Ray?
Honestly, Chuck, I don't know. Ray did a brilliant job highlighting the skills of Shredder. He's a master of ninjutsu, his helmet is stronger than steel, and his armor is full of sharp, pointy blades. He slices everything from punching bags to meatballs with speed, strength, and accuracy. Nightcrawler would be a bamfing shish kebab.
Larry, all that skill is nothing against the masterful teleportation of Nightcrawler. He can bamf Shredder miles above the earth and drop the infamous ninja. You can't stab gravity, my friend, and Shredder would fall to his death.
I'll have to agree with Brad on this one. Ray didn't have a counter to this point.
Both of you are full of nonsense. Ray mentioned the Shredder trump card. When push comes to shove, he'll whip out the mutagen and become the Super Shredder. This improves his already impressive abilities. Finally, he can use holograms and teleportation, but for some reason, the judge Kevin Goatee didn't factor this into his decision.
Speaking of judge, a quick shout out to Kevin Goatee, the host of the hilarious podcast, Gutting the Sacred Cow. He pulled a last-minute audible and made Who Would Win history by declaring the first overtime. Larry, what were your thoughts about this groundbreaking event?
Overtime totally caught James and Ray by surprise. It was an interesting twist, but unfortunately, Kevin still made the wrong choice. That said, I'd also like to praise Gutting the Sacred Cow. It's a very funny show, and I love hearing guests rip apart beloved movies.
Oh, that's something we can all agree with. Gutting the Sacred Cow is a humdinger of a show. I thought the overtime stunt was fun, but I don't think it should become a recurring segment.
Alrighty then, let's move on to the final match for February, Luke Cage versus the T-1000. Brad, what are your thoughts on James's arguments?
Chuck, this was an uphill battle. The T-1000 is nearly unstoppable. Luke Cage is a force to be reckoned with, but he's only human. James did a valiant job, but unless these titans were fighting near some liquid hot magma, Luke didn't stand a chance. Eventually he would tire, and the T-1000 would land a killing blow.
Brad, I'm a little shocked to hear you say this. Usually you were on Team James through thick and thin.
I know, Chuck, but I'm not delusional. Sometimes the Who Would Win team picks an uneven match.
Totally understand. Larry, what are your thoughts on this match?
Chuck and Brad, I too feel conflicted. As you all know, my hero is the magnificent Arnold Schwarzenegger, who plays the D-800 in the fabulous film Terminator 2. To cheer for the villainous T-1000 felt like a betrayal. At the same time, I'm a Brainiac, and that's for sure, and I was happy to see him win this battle. As Brad mentioned, this is an endurance match, and the Terminators don't have those pesky human needs like sleep and breathable air.
Fascinating. Seems like we're all in agreement about this final match. Brad or Larry, do you have anything else to add?
Yes, I do, Chuck. Judge Tommy had some hilarious stories, and I think I have a new model to get me through the day. The Fudgy the Whale.
Couldn't agree more, Brad.
Wowzers, we have an accord, which is a great place to leave it for this episode. Thank you, Larry and Brad, for your insights on the Ski Report. Now let's check in with a legion of audience on social media with Sir William.
Hello, legion of audience. Today I shall read aloud 4 fan posts, 1 for each match in February. For Peacemaker versus Black Knight, the amazing Guama Estorno writes, "Awesome. I really enjoyed this episode, and I learned a lot about both characters. Here's today's episode of Ray is Right, where I talk about the episode and narrate my King Ray fanfic, Zounds." Bookie Catalin had this to say about Ben 10 versus Deku. One of my parts says Ray was robbed, but the other says the decision was totally correct. If we think of the time factor, because the time is a very important coefficient during fights, and well, those minutes while Ben transforms, his body can't do a lot. During that time, Deku can defeat Ben. On to Shredder versus Nightcrawler. Devon Woodley declared, "Good episode. I was really pulling for Shredder, but James Gassy proved even with his highly trained ninja skills, and despite Shredder's, as James put it, meatball-like speed, Nightcrawler was just too much for him. Plus,
the epic introduction of overtime, which should be implemented going forward. Finally, we have Sam Shepard commenting on Luke Cage versus the T-1000. Great matchup. Don't think I could have called it like Tommy did, but a really good podcast. I absolutely knew James was going to bring up symbiotes, parentheses Venom, in point number 3. And that completes this segment of the Legion of Audience on social media. Back to you. And that's a wrap for another episode of the Who Would Win Show After Show. Many thanks to Larry Kowalski, Brad Bosky, and Sir William. Kudos to the Legion of Audience for their continued support, and congratulations to both James and Ray for their victories this month. Best of luck with the battles to come in March. Please check out the Who Would Win Show's Patreon page and sign up for special insights and unique content. Subscriptions are as low as $1 a month. What a deal! Tune in to the Who Would Win Show every Wednesday on your podcast platform of choice. This is Chuck Daly signing off. So long, everybody! This has been the Who Would Win Show After Show powered by Snerts. If you enjoyed this content, then please like and subscribe. Also, I can be found at Lord_Snerts on all the things, and Joshua Stearns on Facebook. Stay strong, stay safe, stay frosty.